In this video, we discuss lesson 8.3, which is about testing a claim about a mean. These slides are based on slides provided by Pearson to accompany our textbook and then modified by me for our course. This is the third section in three sections of Chapter 8 that we will be covering in our course from Essentials of Statistics, 6th edition by Mario Triola. In 8.1, we discussed the basics of hypothesis testing. In lesson 8.2, we talked about testing claims about a proportion. And in 8.3, we're going to talk about testing a claim about a mean. This lesson is split into two parts. In the first part, we're focused on testing a claim about a mean when the population standard deviation is not known. Now, this is what we're usually doing, because if we are testing about a claim about a population mean, it's usually the case that the population standard deviation is not known. This will require us to use the student t-distribution, which we talked about in Chapter 7. And whenever we use the p-value method with a student t-distribution, we'll need to use technology in order to find those areas in the tails or those probabilities that are associated with our test statistic. We're going to use Excel. You can use StatCrunch or Minitab or a TI-83 or 84 plus. That would be fine as well. But we'll also talk about how to use the critical value method as opposed to the p-value method when you don't have access to technology. And then lastly, we'll talk about the fact that the p-value method, the confidence interval method, and the critical value method are all equivalent to each other. And then in the second part of this lesson, we'll talk about testing a claim about the mean when the population standard deviation is known. In that case, we get to use the standard normal distribution. So we've got two learning outcomes associated with lesson 8.3. The first is a doozy, but basically it deals with testing that claim about a mean when the population standard deviation is not known. We're going to use the student t-distribution here. We're going to talk about the critical value method, the p-value method, and the confidence interval method. And then I will want you to be able to describe how the three methods are equivalent to each other and why each method will lead to the same conclusion. And then in our last learning outcome, we'll test a claim about a mean when the population standard deviation is known. We'll talk about how we would do that. And then we'll describe how we can test claims about a mean when the sample size is small, so n is less than 30, or when the original population doesn't seem to be normally distributed. Okay, I will see you in the next video to discuss learning outcome number 1.